is 9 News Darwin.
Hello and welcome to this special half-hour edition of National 9 News Darwin. The Territory Government has tonight locked out several Greater Brisbane areas, deeming them hotspots in the wake of community transmission. 2 plane loads of passengers scraping into the NT before the new rules, and are now some of hundreds forced to self-isolate.
Rosemary McBride and her son Liam refused to be separated this Easter.
Well, I was thinking that he'd get stuck in Brisbane or that he'd have to go into quarantine.
The Darwin mum booking the boarding school student a last-minute airfare home. He's now heading straight into isolation.
Better home than apart from each other over Easter.
That's important to us.
It was a good call. These passengers touching down from Brisbane just after midday, 4 hours before this announcement.
Effective from 4:30 p.m. today, we will be declaring the following hotspot areas: Brisbane, Ipswich, Logan City, Redland City, Moreton Bay and Toowoomba.
Any arrivals after then forced into mandatory quarantine. People who have arrived in the Territory from the City of Brisbane and Moreton Bay regions from March 20 have already been required to self-quarantine and get tested. Those requirements also include those who've been in Ipswich, Logan or Redland since March 25, Gladstone or Toowoomba since the 26th, or have visited the Byron Shire after March 27. The Chief Minister in isolation, having been in close contact with a family member who'd been in Toowoomba. Today's air arrivals dodging Brisbane's snap lockdown.
I didn't have the news on early this morning. I haven't heard anything.
I didn't know they were locking down, actually. I hadn't.
And mandatory quarantine.
Isolate, book a COVID test.
Right now, those who've transited through Brisbane Airport don't need to get tested. But the Territory Government says it is important to stay up to date with advice as the situation in our neighbouring state evolves. Road checkpoints will be in place from midnight.
We will meet again on Thursday. If we need to change again, because the situation rapidly changes, we will meet.
Talia Sav, 9 News.
New designs have been released today in the latest step in the State Square redevelopment, but as Nine's Zarisha Bradley reports, a recent unwanted discovery has put the brakes on construction of the project.
The $200 million State Square overhaul is humming along slowly but surely. Tenders will now go out for the construction of the 90-bay car park along the Esplanade and Herbert Street, following the tick of approval for the final design. The 1.1-acre lot will be going green with the asphalt surface dug up. The new space, designed around heat mitigation, is envisioned to hold events such as festivals. It's the third stage of the project, following the new 400-space underground car park and the demolition of the Chan building. But recent discoveries at the Chan building site have set back the project.
I think the original plan was to have the work done by January, so it has been longer than expected. But as I said, it has been complex because it has had a large amount of asbestos in there. In the recent weeks, they've also found high voltage cabling under that structure.
The Chan building site is expected to be grassed and opened by the end of May.
Thousands of Territorians could be without a job tonight after the federal government's JobKeeper allowance ended at the weekend. It's expected the tourism sector will be hit the hardest, with the NT government announcing another support package.
It was the lifeline offered following distressing scenes of Centrelink queues. But now JobKeeper is finished, around 7,500 Territory jobs remain up in the air, hundreds in the tourism sector.
Whilst the likes of vouchers have been fantastic, they haven't gone anywhere near to getting us back to the levels that we knew prior to 2020.
While tourism top end remains hopeful of a busy dry season, it's harder than ever to predict, with visits now booked at short notice.
People are booking with less than 3 days' notice.
It's why the 100-person limit for expedition ships, including both passengers and crew, imposed by the Chief Health Officer late last week, is particularly difficult to swallow. Cruise companies now planning on relocating to Western Australia and won't be visiting the top end, wiping an estimated $20 million from the economy.
7,000 customers that were coming to the Northern Territory in the coming months are about to be told, no, you're not welcome.
We know that the sector had hoped for a slightly higher number, but we have to back our Chief Health Officer. He's kept us safe to date.
Tourism warns it's a decision with long-lasting impacts.
This is for the next 3 years.
The government insists it's doing what it can to support businesses during the global pandemic, announcing today more than $1 million to help Central Australian tourism companies. The package aiming to capitalise on the Commonwealth's half-price fares on direct routes to the NT.
It's a point of sale incentive. It's designed to get people into Central Australia.
Flights will be available to book from April 1st. Kathleen Gazzola, 9 News.
Russia and North Korea have been singled out as suspects in the biggest ever cyber attack on an Australian media company. The Nine network has focused on both foreign states in its programming, prompting cyber experts to speculate it could be payback for that attention.
We're just hoping we're actually on your television. We're not talking to ourselves here, but wow.
The show goes on, but not without some tweaking. The hosts in Sydney and the news out of Melbourne.
And just little old me here in the studio.
The cyber attack all but sabotaged Nine's ability to broadcast out of Sydney. Normally the busiest newsroom in the country today was abandoned as staff were redeployed to Melbourne to deliver programming in New South Wales. Nine's newspapers have also been affected, journalists filing stories from home, newsrooms deserted.
Well, it's taken dozens of engineers across the country to bring our systems back to a point where we can bring the news back on air.
A technical minefield to repair and the hunt for those responsible just as complex. But obvious suspects have emerged.
Is Vladimir Putin an international terrorist?
Tonight, Under Investigation with Liz Hayes focuses on the Russian leader. Last night, 60 Minutes took aim at North Korea's Kim Jong-un.
Like a petulant child who doesn't get its way, North Korea likes to throw tantrums.
That type of reporting that rubs authoritarian leaders the wrong way can certainly motivate this type of attack.
Not for a minute will we change what we do, but obviously when you poke the bear, consequences can occur, and I guess it's possible that's what we're seeing.
This afternoon, South Australian winemaker Taylor's Wines became the latest victim of a cyber attack. Its IT systems crippled as it prepares for the Easter rush. In either of the cases, there has been no demand for ransom, but the fallout will be costly. In the case of Nine, just how we broadcast has to be re-established from the ground up.
It's going to be a long time before we're back doing what we did as smoothly as we were.
But on with the show. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has bolstered the federal cabinet with women in the face of continued criticism. Attorney General Christian Porter and Defence Minister Linda Reynolds have both been demoted.
Trying to hit reset. These changes will shake up what needs to be shaken up.
A cabinet shaken by the scandals engulfing the Attorney General and Defence Minister has been recast by a Prime Minister determined to show Australia's women he's both listening and acting.
It's not just about the size of the female contingent in my cabinet, but it's the skills and the experience, it's the perspective, and it's the collaboration they bring.
Christian Porter and Linda Reynolds have been shunted from their jobs.
All right, Liz, more package next.
But stay in cabinet. They are replaced by Michaelia Cash and Peter Dutton as Karen Andrews is promoted to Home Affairs. Women are on the way up in jobs and in the government's focus, with Melissa Price re-entering an expanded cabinet as Anne Ruston, Jane Hume and Amanda Stoker take on new roles.
It puts addressing these issues at the centre of government.
Maurice Payne will lead the team of women driving the government's gender equality charge.
She is effectively, amongst her female colleagues, the Prime Minister for women.
But the coalition's woes continue, with backbencher Andrew Laming ordered into counselling for taking an inappropriate photo of one woman and trolling two others.
Clearly someone like Andrew Laming, who has a long history of bullying and belittling and abusing and trolling his own constituents, should no longer be in the parliament.
The Prime Minister is trying to get the furious debate over the treatment of women back onto ground where he feels more comfortable, aimed at delivering practical results on economic and personal security. The government is signalling it will change the law to take a hard line on social media trolls.
Australia, we've got to fix this.
Chris Ullman, 9 News.
Coming up on the special half-hour edition of 9 News Darwin, an Uber driver bashed to death by teenage girls and preparations underway for Australian TV's Night of Nights.
The owner of this place should hang their head in shame.
Our elderly forced onto the street. Developers shamelessly turning a blind eye, leaving families homeless.
How does it make you feel?
Teary. And I don't go to tears.
A heartbreaking, a current affair tonight.
He's one of the world's most ruthless leaders with unimaginable wealth and a cult-like following.
Commander, my commander!
But is Putin the mastermind behind a global web of poisoning?
This was the work of the Russian state.
Oh, here we go. The chilling investigation.
I was poisoned. I'm gonna die.
Across Europe to Salisbury.
Russia had both the motive and the means to do this.
That's nonsense.
Why is it nonsense?
Could Australia be next?
Something that we should all be very worried about.
Under investigation tonight after Married at First Sight on 9.
For me, the best seafood this Easter is from Coles, Australia's best sustainable seafood supermarket.
Coles Australian medium cooked black tiger prawns down to just $22 a kilo.
Coles, value the Australian way.
Like the Easter Bilby, all our Sleepyhead and Sleepmaker mattresses are Aussie made. And for this Easter, get up to a massive 50% off selected mattresses. Hurry, incredible Easter deals end soon at Beds R Us, the home of Australian made mattresses.
So, you've been dreaming of catching that elusive prize barramundi. But you don't have a boat. Well, it couldn't be easier in Palmerston with the City of Palmerston's Catch and Release Barra competition. Our lakes are chock-a-block full of barra and the chance to win a share of over $10,000 in prizes. So make your way to Sanctuary Lakes, Durack Lakes and Marlow Lagoon to take part. Register online at palmerston.nt.gov.au.
At McCafe, every sixth coffee is free when you order on the My Macca's app. Buy any 5 coffees and your next one is on us. Download the My Macca's app and start earning your free coffees today.
For me, the best way to get the perfect Aussie Easter pork roast is from Coles.
Coles Australian pork leg roast boneless down to just $8.50 a kilo in store and online.
Coles, value the Australian way.
2 teenage girls have been charged with murder after a botched carjacking in the United States. New Vision capturing the pair's confronting attack on a 66-year-old Uber driver.
A front seat confrontation and the deadly aftermath. 2 teenage girls are now charged with murder. Aged 13 and 15, they're accused of carjacking 66-year-old Mohammed Anwar, an Uber Eats delivery driver who's filmed standing his ground. Police in Washington, D.C. say the girls used a stun gun on the grandfather before speeding off with his car.
Hey, they stole the car.
The teenagers climbed from the wreck. Mohammed Anwar was found unconscious on the pavement and was taken to hospital but died from his injuries.
It's more than tragic. I don't even know if that word describes what happened. It's senseless. We have very young people involved.
Emerging 5 days after his death, this vision is expected to be used as evidence. The girls face court on Wednesday. It comes 3 weeks after this assault in an Uber in San Francisco. The driver was pepper sprayed, telling police he believes it was racially motivated. In the United States, Michael Genovese, 9 News.
The giant container ship that's been blocking the Suez Canal for almost a week has finally been dislodged. The 220,000-tonne vessel disrupting international shipping networks, costing billions of dollars every day.
Mass celebrations on the Suez.
A thumbs up and sigh of relief from the captain of a tugboat who helped dislodge the 200,000-tonne vessel. The breakthrough came after excavators dug 27,000 cubic metres of sand from the banks of the canal. The full moon also proved lucky, a king tide allowing the flotilla of tugboats to pull the 400-metre-long cargo ship free. 65% has now been refloated. The Ever Given ran aground 6 days ago, blocking one of the world's most important trade routes, connecting Asia to Europe and the US. More than 450 ships were caught in the traffic jam, costing $11 billion in trade a day. An investigation will determine whether this was human error or otherwise. And while they've made inroads in the salvage effort, it's unclear when the vital trade route will reopen for business. Sophie Walsh, 9 News.
Television's Night of Nights is set for a return, albeit later than usual, after falling victim to the pandemic last year. The 2021 Logie Awards will be in November on the Gold Coast, with 2 years of television programs eligible for gongs.
Right now, Queensland needs a reason to party more than ever, and we've got one.
Some good news. On Sunday the 28th of November, the Logies will be heading back to the Gold Coast.
Television's Night of Nights, the star-studded TV Week Logie Awards, will return to the Gold Coast later this year. And Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk couldn't be happier.
We know it's been down in Melbourne for many, many years, and I think it's great that it's going to be back up here on the Gold Coast.
TV Week editor Amber Giles saying in a statement, TV Week is thrilled to have landed on a date. We look forward to seeing on the red carpet all those who've kept us entertained and informed during trying times.
It's all good to go.
Mothballed last year in the middle of the global pandemic, the frocks and dinner suits will be back on the red carpet in a glitzy 5-star event at the Star Gold Coast on Sunday, November 28.
She was moving to the baseline.
The event was moved to the Gold Coast from Melbourne in 2018, putting the Gold Coast in the national spotlight. And tourism is the big winner.
This is a great, investment in our tourism.
So keep the date in the calendar. Tracy Smith, 9 News.
Coming up in sport, the Broncos must relocate to Sydney, but for how long? And the Magpies Lions blockbuster's been moved due to the latest COVID outbreak.
Hi.
Hi.
Trouble. Edie's father turned up on the doorstep. Oh, here we go. Finally comes knocking.
We could do this. If you want to, you could keep it.
Hey, Grace, Jeremy's taking Edie.
This is the night.
Where is he now?
I'm gonna kill him.
That delivers
He's taking her.
a roller coaster shock straight to the heart. Wednesday on 9.
For me, the best way to get the perfect Aussie Easter pork roast is from Coles.
Coles Australian pork leg roast boneless down to just $8.50 a kilo in store and online.
Coles, value the Australian way.
Travel the whole world of Australia in the ute that can go absolutely anywhere. The new Nissan Navara.
Brown showing it, stepping.
Eels and Broncos are coming to Darwin.
The Occurrence on the line!
Friday, April 23rd.
What a try, a solo, what a touch!
Get your tickets now from ticketek.com.au.
Territorians, what's something you've never ever done? Have you discovered the Hilton lately? At Hilton Darwin, we have the ultimate package to stay and dine for two right here for you. Enjoy harbour views from a guest room for a one-night stay, breakfast for two, Wi-Fi and $100 dining credit, which can be consumed at 7 participating restaurants in the city. Don't wait, book now. Use your Territory Tourism voucher at tourismtopend.com.au.
Mattress Studio's biggest Easter sell-off is on this Saturday and Monday. Every mattress, every ensemble, floor samples and one-offs, all tagged to doorbuster prices. 2 remarkable days, save as never before. Don't miss it.
He does this all the time. He just misses me.
Doesn't matter. Do not put up with that. Okay?
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Tomorrow, the fallout from the Brisbane COVID cluster, how it will impact the rest of Australia in the lead up to Easter.
And from playing a Marvel superhero to a real-life one, Benedict Cumberbatch speaks to Brooke about his fabulous new role.
Love
See
him.
you from 5:30.
Our elderly forced onto the street, while owners turn a blind eye.
I think it's disgusting.
A current affair tonight.
The Broncos are no longer Brisbane-based, with the team setting up camp in Sydney tonight. The drastic measures being taken to avoid Brisbane's COVID lockdown and ensure the Broncos' clash with the Storm goes ahead as planned on Friday night.
Their bags are packed for at least 2 weeks on the road. Broncos players were summoned to a meeting at Red Hill this morning and informed of the NRL's decision to relocate the squad to Sydney to avoid Brisbane's COVID lockdown. Jermaine Asako farewelled with a kiss by baby boy Isaiah before heading off with teammates. By 4 o'clock, the team was on the tarmac ready to depart Queensland, with their playing schedule still up in the air. Brisbane is supposed to tackle Melbourne on Friday night, but that match may be moved to Sydney. Either way, the Broncos will remain based in New South Wales until facing the Rabbitohs in the Harbour City next week. There's nowhere for the Cowboys to hide after starting the season with 3 straight losses. A woeful showing against the Titans, exposing the myriad of problems that exist in Townsville.
We just have a soft underbelly at the moment. We just have no steel under tough circumstances. We just fold, and it's becoming embarrassing, mate. We've been saying the same stuff for 3 years.
The Gold Coast 44-8 annihilation of North Queensland moves the Titans into the top 4 ahead of their clash with the Raiders at Seabus Stadium on Saturday. Adam Jackson, 9 News.
The latest outbreak of COVID has affected the AFL as well, with the Collingwood-Brisbane blockbuster being moved. The Lions say they're unfazed, even though they could be stuck in Melbourne for a fortnight.
After spending just about all of last season at home in Queensland, the Lions are now set for life on the road. And for today at least, Port Melbourne became their new base.
Are you prepared to be in Melbourne now for some time?
Yeah, we've been getting our heads around that idea.
A short time later, that was confirmed with the AFL shifting Thursday night's clash with Collingwood from the Gabba to Marvel Stadium.
It's not an ideal set of circumstances for Brisbane. It's not an ideal set of circumstances for Collingwood. We've got a short notice now to build a crowd for this game, but it's the best decision we can make right now.
As such, the return fixture in round 22 will now become a Brisbane home game. Both camps content with the result.
It just seems like common sense to me. I don't think we're going to ever be surprised about what we might be asked to do after the last 12 months.
Probably more relief. Obviously, we've been great to get home to our families and whatnot, but I mean, realistically, we're in the game to play footy.
The Lions have since rushed a number of reinforcements to Melbourne, who'll now isolate until returning a negative test. While the Lions' plight will be reassessed after Thursday night, the AFL admits its entire fixture release could now be delayed. The league had been due to unveil the next block of scheduling as soon as this week. But with fresh border restrictions imposed across the country, the Lions could be forced to remain here until at least round 4.
I bought 4 pairs of jocks with me, so I'll need to find a laundry today. So, no, we'll do whatever's required.
Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
Stay with us, will you? Coming up next, the latest in weather.
Our elderly forced onto the street, while owners turn a blind eye.
I think it's disgusting.
A current affair tonight.
Can love survive the most explosive week
That was disgusting. What was disgusting? Have a look at your actions, mate.
in married history?
It's a big deal when there's smiles all round. Get grinning with Darryl Lee's Big Bunny, now half price, just $8.50. Big W. Every day's a big day.
Easter's a great time to paint.
4 litre British Paint ceiling paint, only $46.50. Gorilla folding work platform, just $75.
Where you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
Travel the whole world of Australia in the new Nissan Navara.
Territorians, 1 year has passed since the hospitality industry, amongst others, was shut down. It's been a tough time for so many of us. But thanks to the incredible work of our health professionals, educators, government workers and police, thanks to the good sense of most Territorians in following health guidelines, and thanks to the hard work of business owners and their amazing people, we're bouncing back. So on behalf of all of us here in the hospitality industry, cheers to you. A message from Hospitality NT.
Coonan and Coonan Legal are experienced family lawyers. We provide advice in all areas of family law, including property settlements, parenting matters, consent orders and court representation. Call one of our experienced family lawyers today. At Coonan and Coonan Legal, we care.
It's a big deal when Mum gets to sneak one for herself. Share the joy with this Cadbury Easter Hunt box, just $8. Big W, every day's a big day.
Ridge's Palmerston Weekend Buffet Breakfast includes bakery, fresh fruit and deli selection, traditional hot items and eggs cooked to order. Bring the family and enjoy the fantastic pool and facilities. Weekends at Ridge's. Why not?
On now at Joyce Main. Get 5% back in Joyce Main gift cards on selected cooking appliances. That's 5% back in Joyce Main gift cards across great cooking brands like Smeg, Belling and Electrolux, Westinghouse, Euromade and Bosch, Fisher & Paykel, Ariston and more. Plus get it on 60 months interest free and get an additional bonus gift card. All this with our best price guarantee. Get cooking now, no worries. 5% back in Joyce Main gift cards on selected cooking appliances. Limited time now at your local Joyce Main. No worries.
A little goes a long way at Macca's. Grab a hamburger for $2 and for a limited time, a McFlurry for just $2. Part of our best ever loose change menu.
Need a hand these holidays? We'll help you load the boot so you can get away faster with our direct-to-boot service. Big W, every day's a big day.
We could be looking for a body.
Let's not jump to conclusions, eh?
It's the most iconic British cop show.
Oh my God, there's a bomb!
The Bill, tonight on 9 Gem.
OK, let's have a look at the weather. And today Darwin reached 33 beautiful degrees. On the satellite, a cold front with an associated cloud band sits over Victoria. Now for the capitals tomorrow, Brisbane, a possible shower 26, partly cloudy and 23 in Sydney, 22 in Canberra, 22 in Hobart with clouds about. Melbourne, partly cloudy and 20, fine for Adelaide reaching 27 and 30 degrees in Perth. Back home, Howard Springs, a possible storm and 35, the same in Tennant Creek. 29 and fine in Alice and sunshine and 31 for Ulara. On the Darwin Harbour, seas below a metre, that's swell below half a metre. Easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, a high tide of 7.8 metres before 7:30 in the morning, dropping to 1.2 metres just after lunch, 1:30 p.m. Catch of the day belongs to 5-year-old Sam today. He snagged this threadfin salmon at Dundee. Well done to you, Sam. Don't forget to send your catch to newsphoto@9.com.au. Now for tomorrow, 35 in Palmerston, a possible shower or storm, partly cloudy in Humpty Doo, reaching 35. Tomorrow, the same for Darwin. So the next 7 days now, expect temperatures in the low to mid-30s with partly cloudy days for the rest of the working week before wet weather is forecast again on Friday. So get your umbrellas prepared for that, will you? Hyundai has been forced to ramp up the urgency of the recall of tens of thousands of its flagship SUVs because of a fire risk. Some owners are now considering a class action against the car maker.
What began as smoke under the hood soon became full-blown flames. On the side of the M1 near Cowan, on the Central Coast, a family records the end of their Tucson. In February, the car company announced a recall of more than 93,000 Tucsons made between 2015 and 2020 because of a defect in the anti-locking braking system's circuit board. The fear is that the default could trigger this: melted metal, all that's left of Zane Lewis Hamilton's car.
And I heard a popping noise, and then I looked over the back fence and all I could see was this big plume of smoke.
The truck driver, now in cancer remission, says he needs his vehicle for medical appointments.
I mean, I don't believe the insurance company should be paying for it when the vehicle's still under the manufacturer's warranty.
Zane wants answers, and so do Richard and Judy Edwards. They lost nearly everything in a house fire, which their lawyer claims started in their 2016 Tucson, which was parked in the garage. Bannister Law is now investigating the potential for a class action.
After we've reviewed the brochures for the Hyundai Tucson, there is a statement that says safety should never be an afterthought.
On social media, Hyundai tried to water down customers' worries, saying the recall was a precautionary measure only, with no actual cases reported in Australia. They've since acknowledged this was an error.
Hyundai needs to actually step up and make sure they look after their customers, look after the recall, make it a priority.
Ellie Walsh, 9 News.
But let's have a look at today's finance now. The Australian share market and our dollar were both lower. Here's Chris Kohler.
The end of JobKeeper was felt by retail companies today. A lot of that money had ended up in cash registers, so their shares were a little bit lower today. Overall, the market edged down, but big miners like BHP and Fortescue were strong, while Macquarie slipped after hitting record highs last week. Nine Entertainment was also lower after a hack took systems offline. Elsewhere, the Australian dollar is lower, buying 76 US cents, 64 euro cents and 55 British pence. It's still expected to top 80 US cents this year, but for now, the weakness is helping Australian exporters.
Thank you for that, Chris. Well, that is our special edition of 9 News Darwin. All things going well. We will see you tomorrow at 6. Good night.
Our elderly forced onto the street, while owners turn a blind eye.
I think it's disgusting.
A current affair tonight.